We're at the Crownridge Canyon Natural Area. So we're going to try something new today. We decided we're on a break right now. Well, we're not on a break. We're waiting for Amanda to get done with her class. She has an hour-long class, and Sarah and I always like to find some trouble. So we went to a play area earlier today, so we're taking a little break in the heat, and we're going to do a lesson because it is a school day. So we're going to do some travel schooling live for you. So at this natural area, you have a nice trail out behind us. It takes you up and gives you a good view of the canyon. But more importantly, the reason we came here is because of the information that they have listed here behind the camera right now. We're going to show it to you. They have informative plaques that talk about the water cycle, the aquifer, and various geological processes, as well as natural environments and the animals that live around this area that's pertinent to this park itself and the general region. So we thought we'd give you an example of what we do for travel schooling. It may cut short because Adrian, I think, is just waking up. So we'll see how it goes, and let us know in the comments below how we do. Let us know if this is of value because we've never done this before. So bear with us as we move the camera around and kind of work through this process. All right. So Sarah, what have we learned so far today?
So we've learned about evaporation and how the hydraulic cycle goes around and around over and over and over again. But it starts with evaporation, where water comes up with the sun by heating water, and it comes up and it evaporates. Then condensation,
Okay.
is where all that evaporated water fills up the clouds,
Okay.
and then precipitation,
That's okay.
is where you take all this water, where the clouds take up all the water, and when it gets too heavy, it lets all the water fall back down into the river. And that, again, is called the hydraulic cycle.
Okay. So an important note, though, you said that it starts with evaporation. Remember, there's no start or end to the cycle, correct? Okay. Hey there, Traveler James. Thanks for joining us today. We're doing a live travel schooling episode right now. So this is how we educate Sarah, our 8-year-old, about to be 9. And we're at the Crownridge Canyon Natural Area in San Antonio, Texas. So we're just talking about the hydraulic cycle, and Sarah described how it goes from evaporation to condensation to precipitation, correct? And there's no start or end to the cycle. It just continues, right? So what about the water amount? Do we ever lose or gain water?
Yes, we do.
Are you sure? It's a big cycle, right? It's a big loop. So the water is either in vapor up in the clouds, or it's falling as liquid, right? And it's collected as liquid in rivers or other sources of water, correct?
Yes.
So it's one big cycle. So the amount of water never changes. So we always have, if you were able to measure all the water present on Earth, it would be the same. Do you understand? In that whole cycle. So water is the same whether it's liquid or vapor, right? It's still water.
Yes.
Yes.
But
So
isn't it true that it can make, like, the clouds still contain a small amount of water in them?
yeah, so that's the total part. So if you were to imagine that at one point we gave you 100 gallons of water on Earth, and you have 100 gallons, right? All that water is constantly cycling in this big loop. So maybe you have 20 gallons up in the clouds and you have 80 gallons down in the oceans. Or maybe you have 20 in the oceans, 20 in kind of evaporating going up, and then that's 40, so another 60 up in the clouds, right? So it all adds up to 100. Does that make sense? So you have the same amount, it's just in different forms as it goes around the cycle, okay? All right, so let's move on to the next site. So we have 3 different placards here. They're front and back. This one, I think we just went over limestone, right?
Uh-huh.
So what is limestone? Do you remember?
Limestone is broken down fossils of shell in one compacted, big, like, fossilized layer.
So do you remember what that type of rock is called?
Limestone?
Sedimentary. So it has various sediments, right, all smashed together over a geological process with a bunch of heat and a bunch of pressure, and it mushes them all together into these big rocks. And you can see it out here behind Sarah over here. There's examples of limestone. They have it all over the place. But what Sarah was mentioning was that, yes, there are lots of fossil traces within a limestone cliff, within limestone rocks. A lot of it was made up over millions of years ago by ocean creatures and ocean shells. Marine life has died and then decayed and then become part of the rock itself. Right, Sarah?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so karst. Let's learn about karst. Do you want to read it, Sarah, or should I?
You should.
Okay, so karst is a term used to describe the local topography, one formed mostly by water, slowly dissolving the limestone to form sinkholes and large fractures, caves, and underground drainages. Surface water enlarges and follows these voids downward to replenish the aquifer. These can be small voids or large cave systems. Okay, so we've seen some of these on some of our walks, correct?
Yes, we have.
We haven't gone, did we go to a cave recently?
Yes, we did.
Where was that?
It was in Portland, Oregon.
That was in Portland, Oregon, yes. We do need to go to a cave here. There's quite a few caves in the San Antonio area if you're here. Definitely worth the stop. But you'll see a bunch of limestone formations when you go inside because that water is seeping down through the porous rock. Okay, the porous rock means that it has holes. Okay? All right, so let's move on to the next one. Where's the water? All right, Sarah, why don't you start this one?
Why don't you?
Okay, countless springs, large and small, once dotted our landscape. Their water came from aquifers, underground reservoirs of water. Many of the springs are now dry and the aquifers are threatened. We are taking too much water out of the aquifers and diminishing the amount of water entering to recharge the aquifers. Pollution of the aquifers is also a serious threat. So do you remember what aquifer we have here in this area? What is it called?
San Antonio River.
No, that's a river. It starts with an E. Do you remember? We don't talk about that often, but I mentioned it.
Evaporation.
It's called the Edwards Aquifer.
Wow.
Okay, so you can see that here in this map. So this is all the area that the Edwards Aquifer supports. Okay? You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move on. All right, plant mosaics. Waves of green engulf your senses as you enter Crownridge Canyon Natural Area. The abundant juniper and oak surrounding you today have not always dominated the landscape. So Sarah, what do we know about juniper?
We know that the juniper ash tree is also called the mountain cedar.
Which I'm extremely allergic to, right?
Uh-huh.
Yes, I am. So why is it called mountain cedar, not juniper ash? Do you remember?
Yes, I do, because the Europeans who moved here thought that it looked like they're juniper trees.
They're cedar trees.
They're cedar trees.
Mm-hmm.
So they called it mountain cedar.
Yeah, because of the mountainous region here, right? Mm-hmm. So it was primarily German, Polish, and Czech settlers that came from Europe. And you know that. You've seen a lot of cedar trees in Germany when we lived there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we lived there for about 3 years. It was a great time. So let's see, what else? Where were we?
We were.
Their abundance is the result of natural, climatic, and accompanying geological changes and activities of modern humans. Long after the rise and fall of the Cretaceous seas and the time of the dinosaurs, the hill country, responding to the advance and retreat of glaciers in the north, experienced alternating periods of cooler, wetter, and drier, warmer climates. Pockets of maples, such as those at nearby Lost Maples, remind us that once beech, maple, birch, pine, fir, and spruce, now found in the northern and eastern United States, were important plants in this landscape when the climate was cooler and wetter. Do you remember going by Lost Maples? We went there with Nana. Yeah, so we went out to what was the city called? Do you remember?
No. Wasn't it Fredericksburg?
No, it was down Interstate 90, State Highway 90. Oh my goodness, Nana's gonna be so upset that I can't remember what it was called. We'll have to figure it out. We'll put it in the notes after this. All right, let's move on.
Uh-oh, I see some snakes.
Ooh, creatures of the canyon. I think you have to read this one. All right, start with processions.
Processions of animal species. Processions of animal species have existed where you now stand.
Whoa.
Many have vanished. Some remain and some are relatively new arrivals. At the time the Cretaceous limestone was deposited, the fossils record was domained by marine clams and mollusks. We know what those are, right?
We do.
They're little shelled creatures. Their fossilized remains are embedded and compose the limestone rocks beneath your feet.
Wow.
Not yet. Dinosaurs, awesome. Like the Pleurodolus.
Duellus? I don't know how to pronounce it either. A large brachiosaur type.
Brachiosaurs were the ones with the long necks.
Okay.
You can look them up if you don't know. And the others left their footprints in the mud of the shallow seas.
Awesome. Cool. Is there anything you want to make note of with that?
Yes, I do.
What?
Brachiosaurs were one of the biggest dinosaurs on Earth in the time of the dinos.
Wow. Cool. You like dinosaurs, right?
Yeah.
You want to be a what?
Paleontologist
one day?
Which is someone who studies dinosaur fossils and imagines what they will like and look like.
Awesome. All right, well, let's check this last one, and then we're going to have to call it a day on this lesson. Let's see. People and the land. Ooh, I'll read this one. I like this part. Okay. The people who lived here before us have left their footprints on the land. Archaeologists, that's what I did, right?
Yep.
Believe that about 10,000 years ago, Paleo-Indian cultures were attracted to this area by its abundant waters and wildlife. Locally excavated sites reveal hunting and gathering activities and quarrying for chert, or flint, a stone favored for the making of tools. You can see examples of flint there in pictures. And then look at this mission here. Didn't we go see the missions recently?
Yes, we did.
Do you remember which mission? We didn't go to Concepcion because it was a little too far and we'd already spent a while there. But we did go to San Juan, right?
Yeah.
San Juan and San Jose. San Jose is where you got your Junior Ranger badge. Do you remember what's special about the missions? Why are they significant here in San Antonio?
Well, one of the reasons I think that the missions are special is because they have a baseball team named after them.
We do love baseball here in this family, but they are named the missions because of the actual Spanish missions. So the Spanish missions, there's 5 of them here in San Antonio, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you remember when San Antonio was founded?
No.
In the 1700s. 17... What's the next number after 17?
1718?
1718, correct. So San Antonio was founded in 1718 on the feast day of St. Anthony of Padua. Padua, we've been there. We've been there before when we lived in Europe. But they named it St. Anthony, or San Antonio, in his honor. San Antonio is Spanish for St. Anthony, correct? So the missions were initial settlements when the Spanish did their first missionary trips out into the Texas landscape. And they settled them, and they would do what was called reducciones. And that was when they would try to convert the Native Americans who lived in the area into Catholicism. And Native Americans would come and live on the complex of the missions. They would live in the outer walls. And we saw an example of that in San Jose, correct? And then they would work and they would learn together. So that's the way the Spanish and the Native Americans of the time started to intermingle and become a kind of unified society in the Central Plains of Texas.
That
So
is
the
true.
first tribe, one of the most well-known tribes here in the San Antonio area, was called the Payayas. Right? They were a nomadic tribe that moved back and forth, but they used the headwaters of the San Antonio River, which was the San Pedro Springs, correct? We went to that park a couple days ago,
Yes, we did.
and they used that to sustain their life, correct? Okay. So, is there anything else you want to say before we end this lesson?
Yes, I do. So, what the Native Americans learned from the Spanish there, things they learned were blacksmith, like things
Various
like
crafts, crafts
Yes.
and skills.
Yeah,
Okay.
like blacksmith art.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a whole complex story to the integration of Europeans and Native Americans, and we will get into that at another time on another lesson. It's way too big of a topic to cover right now. But we want to thank you. Adrian is here, very excited about this lesson. He woke up just to hear Sarah talk. And we are so happy that you came and joined us today, and we hope you enjoyed the lesson. Just a little brief glimpse into San Antonio. And if you do find yourself in the area, we encourage you to check out some of the products that we have to offer over on novelexcursion.com/shop. We have an adventure guide, which helps you get out in the outdoors. We have some run routes, cycle routes, hiking routes, whatever it is you desire. But we show you how to get out and about in the San Antonio area and explore the beautiful nature and beautiful parks that we have to offer. We have the travel guides, which give you local accommodation recommendations, transportation recommendations, and we give you an itinerary that's pre-planned, pre-packaged for 5 days that show you exactly how to spend your time in a very mindful way when you come to San Antonio. Everything is oriented on service and education when you come here. We even find you spots to volunteer, and we provide that in your travel guide. We also just published our book, Explore San Antonio, Your Culture Guide to Educational and Service-Oriented Travel, and that's available on our website for $9.99 on ebook version. You get 2 versions plus a free travel guide if you go purchase it from our website. You can also get it on Amazon and Lulu on ebook, and you can get a print copy for $14.99 from Amazon. All that's available on our website. You can check it out, novelexcursion.com/shop, and you'll find that there. This is going to be posted on our Instagram as well as probably our Facebook, which we have a group at facebook.com/groups/novelexcursion, where you can become part of the conversation. And then over on YouTube as well, go search Novel Excursion Travel, click that subscribe button, and find out more. We have a mailing list as well on our website that we update you on the latest and greatest in travel and all the things going on here at Novel Excursion. So we'd love to hear your feedback. Thank you again for stopping by. And Sarah, as we say at Novel Excursion,